Democratic Alliance now welcoming the court ruling overturning the decision by the Gauteng provincial government to place the city of Tshwane under administration. A team of administrators was appointed by the Gauteng provincial government in March to manage the city until by-elections could be held to appoint new councillors. The High Court in Pretoria ruled today that that announcement by the Cooperative governance MEC Lebogang Maile was invalid. Now, you'll know, of course, the history between the ANC-led province of Gauteng and the DA-led city of Tshwane. The DA's Gauteng leader is John Moody. John, good afternoon to you. I imagine you feel vindicated by this ruling.
Indeed, we are, and we believe that this is a victory for democracy.
You say it's a victory for democracy. How so? You weren't actually able to elect a mayor. If you had been able to elect a mayor, none of this would have happened.
Well, if you read the judgment, you will find out why we were unable to elect a mayor. Because the court has found and set aside and declared the decision by the Gauteng Executive Council to dissolve the city of Tshwane as invalid, and it has been set aside. And the court then goes even further, and it is orders that in terms of the code of conduct of councillors, it orders the ANC and EFF councillors to attend and to remain in attendance of all meetings of the city of Tshwane Metropole, unless they have a lawful reason to absent themselves from such. So, you know, at the end of the day, we have always stuck to our guns and said in terms of the rules, we are prepared to comply with it in terms of the rules. And the ANC and EFF haven't been complying with the rules. And therefore, the situation had unfolded to where it is today.
John, I just want to make sure that I understand you correctly. You're saying that this ruling legally compels, in other words, it says to councillors from the ANC and the EFF who've previously boycotted those meetings to make sure there wasn't a quorum, they actually have to go. And I imagine that ruling would be located in the fact that councillors receive a salary from the city. So you're saying they'll have to go to the next council meeting?
Well, I'll read you the order granted, number 3. So 13th and 14th respondents are ordered in terms of the code of conduct of councillors to attend and remain in attendance at all meetings of the city of Tshwane Metropole Council, unless they have a lawful reason to absent. So that is a ruling of the court. They have to comply in terms of the code of conduct of councillors, because they get paid at the end of the day to attend these meetings, and they are held accountable in terms of executing their responsibilities and duties as elected public representatives.
Okay, there's possibly going to be an appeal. We'll find out in a moment. We'll speak to the Gauteng provincial government to get their reaction to this. John, are you now going to push for a mayor to be elected? Do you know who that person will actually be?
Well, Stevens, you know, we have a number of things that hurdles to first jump over, and that is, of course, how do we, in terms of the regulations of the lockdown, have a council sitting under the circumstances as prevails presently. So, of course, this forces us into the fourth industrial revolution, and that is that we're going to have to find the means and the ways, not we, that is the city of Tshwane, we're going to have to find the means and the ways for them to have virtual meetings. And, of course, the DA has an elected candidate for the mayoralship, and that is Randall Williams. Councillor Randall Williams, because they are all reinstated in their positions as public representatives in the city of Tshwane.
Okay, I mean, it's quite strange. We're talking about matters that happened pre-COVID, and so my memory of that time seems like a different world now. John, I'm sure you feel the same. If I recall, there isn't actually a speaker in Tshwane. So first you have to have a Zoom meeting. You might have to make sure the ANC councillors and the EFF councillors are on Zoom and taking part. To elect a speaker, you're going to have to start there, right, or even an acting speaker?
Well, you do have a speaker. You do have a speaker. The speaker is reinstated. So it has to start off by means of, it will have to start off with the election of an executive mayor. And then, of course, also it could also be firstly the appointment of an acting city manager, so that the administration can get the ball running. So it's up to the speaker as to how she wishes to conduct the meeting moving forward.
Okay, are you expecting there now to be any kind of stability in Tshwane? We've been through a long period, several long-running problems. A lot of this happened, in fact, because it was upon the instruction of the Democratic Alliance that the previous mayor, Stevens Mokgalapa, resigned. He eventually did. Then there was supposed to be this election. That didn't happen, and that's how we ended up in this particular position. Are you expecting any kind of stability to now come into Tshwane as a result of all of this? And what this boils down to is, by law, if I remember correctly, around the illegality of the elections in Tshwane, you need to make sure that your candidate gets the most votes. The EFF and the ANC together might, if they agree, get a candidate who gets more votes than yours.
That is correct. Your last statement is absolutely correct. If the ANC and EFF decide that they will back a particular candidate, they have the majority of votes. But Stephen, I cannot look into a crystal ball as far as stability is concerned. All I can hope and pray for is that the leaders of those political parties will realize that, and come to their senses, that we need to bring stability to Tshwane, be it under a DA mayor or administration, or whether it's under ANC or EFF administration. At the end of the day, we need to put the people of Tshwane first, and we need to get the necessary services to the people, especially now, all the more so with this COVID-19 and endemic that we are facing.
John Moody, thank you very much indeed for your time. Do appreciate it. The Gauteng leader for the Democratic Alliance.